Hello and happy new year. I hope your year ahead is filled with peace, abundance, and happiness. So, this year I wanted to try something a little different. Usually with human design, we can't really specify specific types, you could say. So, for instance, what I'm talking about is in astrology, we can say we're going to do year ahead for Pisces, or we're going to do year ahead for Aries, or something like that. But usually with human design, it's difficult. Last year, I did do something just for particular types. But again, we're looking at only four different types, or five if you want to separate the generator types into manifesting generators and generators, which I usually do. So this year, I'm going to talk about the 12 profiles. You can look at this as being an overview of your profile. And why I feel this is important is because as we move to 2027, the more tools we have in our tool belt to assist us in the journey, the better. By understanding your profile and how it operates and how you operate, it's just a small piece of you, but it can really help you in the world because there are energies for discovery, for being called out. There are energies for having the right people around you, being in the right projection field. They're all based on your profile. And if you understand how you operate, what you potentially need, then you are going to be more resilient, more empowered, and be able to navigate whatever changes we have going forward into 2025. Because 2025 is going to be a busy year, especially for the first half of the year. It's going to be potentially a very busy year, potentially chaotic. But within the Gate 36, which will be featured quite a bit, you can have a look at my overview for the year. But within that chaos or that energy is really telling us what you need to learn, what experiences do you need in your life to advance you forward towards the goals that are part of your trajectory. And so feeling empowered in who you are, feeling empowered with how you operate in the world can give you that step up that can help you to move forward through 2025 and I would say 2025 and beyond. This is why I wanted to make these videos, so hopefully it can help you on your journey forward. Now, what I'm going to do is sort of look at the perspective of the line and where it is in your body graph. This is going to be what we call your personality and also your design. But for simplicity, your personality is going to be considered like your mind, what you're conscious of, what you know. A lot of people call it the conscious. And the design, this is your body and how it expresses in the world. And so we could say that your body is the manifestation of you in the world, and your personality is the mind that is sort of trying to talk to the body. And this is why we talk about authority being so important, because what it actually does for us is it gives our body the ability to make the decisions because our bodies are manifest, just like the manifest world. And that is the theory. So all the things that I'm going to talk about, if you use your authority and whatever that is for you, then that will be helpful for you moving forward. So I will separate the profile lines or your profile lines into your conscious or unconscious or your personality or your body, which is what I prefer to talk about because I think that we call the unconscious, the body unconscious, but on the other hand, there are a lot of ways we can get in touch with that other part of us. And it takes more time and effort, and everybody's going to be different in how they discover what their body is telling them. But I think that there are so many subtle cues that we have every day that our body's telling us about certain things. It pulls us towards things. It gives us gut reactions to things that we like or we don't like. It gives us the butterflies. It can tell you when you're starting to feel like maybe you're getting a cold or something. A lot of times we ignore that. It can tell you when you're eating things that it doesn't like. And so if there's anything that we can really connect with in 2025, it is our body. And so that's why I want to use that for each of these particular profiles. So we'll go through each profile and I will talk about sort of the lines and the ways you can use your profile as a guide. But now keep in mind, we could say that there are only 12 profiles, just like there's only 12 astrology signs. So there's a lot more beneath the surface, you could say. The profile is just one part of your body graph. So there's going to be a lot more. So I could talk about a fourth line energy, and you could say, well, I don't really feel that. Well, that's potentially because maybe the fourth line is on your design side. Or potentially maybe you have a lot of third lines in your body graph other than your profile. So there's a lot of ways that it can shift up, and really discovering what your body graph says is more important than anything. But ultimately, it's just a guide to help you discover your gifts and to decide to use them or not. And that's ultimately what it's about. It's not a guide for you to live a certain way or do a certain thing or to conform to a certain way of being. That is never what we want to do. So with that said, let's get into your profile. Now, when we come to the 2-4 profile, we're looking at a second line mind and a fourth line design. And so if we looked at the 1-4 profile, we remember that the fourth line is all about burnout. And so this is burnout in your body. It's important to know that if you're finding that you're burnt out or you're exhausted, or maybe you're getting a bunch of colds, or things are your health just doesn't feel like it should be. This can sometimes be connected to the people that you spend time with, to your network, and maybe it is in some way draining you. So that is something really important to keep in mind with a fourth line body or a fourth line design. I mean, there are other places that can be health indicator places. For instance, the 4629 channel, that's another place. I'm not going to get into that today, but based on just the profile line, that is something to keep in mind. Burnout is always going to be a theme. So now we're moving into a second line personality. And this is where we're getting to this point where we're talking about a call. So when we get to the second line and we're getting to this concept of a call, what exactly is a call? A call is where you are called out, or somebody says, oh, well, you're really good at this, or we would like you to do this. Or you could say it's almost an opportunity that presents itself, or somebody says, I would like you to do something because I think you'd be good at it. And sometimes people can see the gifts you have or the talents you have or those innate abilities that you have, and maybe you haven't seen them. As you get older, a lot of times you can see those innate abilities or those gifts and talents. You can see them quite well. But when you're younger, you may not necessarily see it. And so this is a way of being discovered for the things that you can bring to the world, for your gifts. Now, every call is not going to be correct for you. And when it becomes something that is through your personality, the second line, it is something that you are going to think a lot about. And a lot of times when you think about the second line personality, second line mind, this is where you might override your authority, your strategy and authority, because you think that this particular call is right. And maybe it doesn't even feel right. But you think, okay, well, it's a call. I'm being called. So this means I have to do it. No, you don't have to do it. That is the biggest key for any second line. You only take the calls you want to take. You can kind of liken it to having a phone that you basically are screening, and you're deciding, well, I'm going to take a call from this person, but I'm not going to take a call from this person. And this is literally what you're doing. So that is the biggest key, because mentally it can be straining to you to try and figure out, okay, what is right for me? And that is when we get back into the strategy and authority. If you're an emotionally defined person, then it's about feeling through the energy, allowing yourself to sit with the energy and understanding the emotions of it. I have a whole video on authorities, so if you want to brush up on that, you can. Or it could be just like, that feels good. Yes, I want to try that because it really feels good. And you can try it. It can also be about looking back at times when you accepted a call or you accepted something, and how did it work out? How did you feel before you accepted that call? So if it was a positive experience, how did you feel before you accepted that call? If it wasn't so positive, how did you feel before you accepted that call? Use your own life experience to decide what is right for you and what isn't. Because if you're always taking all these calls, again, we go back to your fourth line body. This is what's going to show up where you're literally taking calls that might not be right for you, because your body is showing you through potentially colds, exhaustion, all those types of things. This also really talks about your network and having the right people in your life, because if you don't have the right people in your life, again, your body will be depleted. So if you feel depleted, if you feel exhausted, if you can't, talk to that person again because you always feel really drained every time you do, then this is where you can start to think, okay, what is right for me? Is this network right for me? Because remember, your fourth line network is where you find all your opportunities. This is where you can find your romance. This is where you can find your job opportunities, success in the material world. And it is also like this universal bank account where you have to have give and take. So emotionally, you get back what you give out. And it doesn't have to be a perfect balance because nothing is perfectly balanced, but there has to be some balance where it's not always about you just sending energy out and not receiving any. And that is a big key. So as you move through 2025, keep an eye on your health. Wait for the calls that are correct for you, the ones that make you feel like, yes, this is right. Exploration of times in your life when you had calls that you felt were exactly right for you. And the thing about this is, this can also be called the profile of the missionary, where there's a sudden shift of energy when the right call comes to you. It's almost like one day you're doing one thing, and the next day the whole world opens up. Now, I'm not saying that this is going to just come in 2025, but it's only by understanding what is right for you and what isn't right for you, by understanding that your energy is finite and that you only have so much and you have to have the energy coming back to you, that you can definitely move towards the goals that are best for you because you are here to externalize your energy. So it is about externalizing that important thing that you have. And usually with the second line, it's about externalizing the gifts and talents that you naturally have that you've decided to build on, because the talents that come with the second line, they're not here encapsulated and ready to go. They need to be developed. And when you decide to develop it, then that is when you can externalize. But again, it has to be with the right people. Because if you have people who are draining you, or people who are trying to change you, or people who are just not your people, then that is when you will be depleted and you won't be able to move forward in the ways you need to move forward in your life. With that said, I'm wishing you the best in 2025 and that your year will be filled with success, abundance, and good health. Until next time, take care and bye for now.